Well, hello, it's Miss Gina, and you're at Gina's Planet, and we're going to read about some strange things happening in Creepers, the Gravedigger, and we've left off on chapter 5, the Reporter, and today is October 28th, 2024, and our clocks were falling back this weekend. Our clocks, we have a time change. So don't forget about that time change coming up. And Halloween will be Thursday, so watch out for those kitties trick-or-treating in the dark. So stay safe, and we're going to read chapter 5 of Strange Things in Creepers, the Gravedigger. This is by Edgar J. Hyde. So we are on chapter 5, the Reporter. The office door to the Black Hearth Gazette was thrown open with force, banging the door of the nearby filing cabinet as the unmistakable figure of Ebenezer Crim marched in with his muddy boots and pressed the buzzer on the desk. His eyes scanned every inch of the office, past the old newspaper clippings that were framed on the wall, the pile of newspapers that were tied together on the table, the computers, the printers, and the telephones, and eventually stopped on a framed headline that read, "Famous Horror Writer Moves to Black Hearth." It was an article from the previous week's newspaper about Andrew Price. Ebenezer's face began to change as he read every word of the article. He could feel the rage inside him ready to erupt. His eyes got visibly smaller, and the anger got visibly smaller the angrier he became. "Can I help you?" said the voice from the other side of the counter. Ebenezer lifted his evil face to look at the man. He could tell the man was obviously afraid of him. "I'd like to give you some information for a story. My name is Ebenezer Crim." "I know who you are," said the other man. "My name is Mike Phillips. I'm one of the reporters here." Although Mr. Phillips had never met or spoken to Ebenezer Crim before, he still knew exactly who he was. There wasn't one person in the whole town of Black Hearth who didn't know who Ebenezer Crim was. "Well, if you're a reporter, then you're just who I'm looking for," Ebenezer replied. "I just read the article in last week's paper about Mr. Price." "Yes, that was a good story for us. It's not every day a famous writer and his family moved to Black Hearth," Mr. Phillips interrupted. Ebenezer Crim said nothing. Instead, he tilted his head back so that his eyes were peering at Mr. Phillips. From under his hat, he stared down his nose at him and finally said, "Now hear this." The evil look on his face and the way in which he said it sent a shiver down Mr. Phillips's spine. "Mr. Andrew Price and the rest of the family aren't as nice as everyone seems to think." Mr. Crim continued. "Oh, really?" replied Mike Phillips, trying hard to appear calm. "What exactly are they, then?" Ebenezer looked around the office, eventually stopping once again on the article about Andrew Price. "What if I could give you a story that would have everyone in Black Hearth demanding the Price family be thrown out?" "I would say, tell me more, Mr. Phillips," said Mr. Phillips. By now, his fear was gone and replaced with curiosity. "I'll tell you what Andrew Price and his 2 brats are They're devil worshippers, said Ebenezer Crim. They talk to the evil spirits of dead people. Mr. Phillips stood back from his desk. His face appeared disappointed and a little annoyed by what Ebenezer had just told him. Let me get this straight, he said. You're telling me that a respected writer and his family, who have just moved into the house in the graveyard that you wanted to buy, talk to ghosts. Well, how exactly do they do that, Mr. Crim? He asked. I don't know, replied Ebenezer Crim. They must have strange powers or something. Oh, this just gets better. Not only do they talk to ghosts, but they're also psychic. Mr. Phillips making fun of Mr. Crim. Ebenezer leaned across the desk, the pale white skin of his face so close to Mike Phillips that he could see his own reflection in Ebenezer's eyes. I hope you're not making fun of me, said Ebenezer through gritted teeth. I hope you're not making fun of me. No, said Mr. Phillips nervously, stammering over his words. I just don't think that too many people will believe that story, or your story. I mean, do you have any proof? Ebenezer stepped back from his desk. Proof? He said. What kind of proof? Well, anything that might back up your story, Mr. Phillips replied, like photographs or a taped conversation or something. How exactly do you find all of this out? Ebenezer thought for a second before replying. Did you hear about the incident the other night with the headstones, he asked. Yes, said Mike Phillips. Well, it was the devil spirits the Price family are friends with. They are responsible. Again, Mr. Crim, do you have any proof? Questioned Mr. Phillips. Of course I do, yelled Ebenezer Crim, who was getting irritated by the response across the desk from him. The youngest one, the girl, she told me in front of the other two. Mike Phillips took a step back and a deep breath. He didn't like the idea of telling Ebenezer Crim that his proof wasn't actually proof. Think of it like this, Mr. Crim, he began. There are a lot of people in this town that find you very strange. Some people even call you spooky. Ebenezer's nostrils began to flare with rage. I'm not saying I do, said Mr. Phillips, trying to calm him down slightly. But some people do. Now, if I were to print a story in the paper that called Mr. Price and his family devil worshippers, just because you say they are, no one is going to believe me or believe it. Let's find out, announced Ebenezer Crim. I can't. I need more proof than the person who wanted to buy their house, saying he was told by an 8-year-old girl. There's the headstone incident, said Ebenezer. Most people in this town already think that you knocked the headstones over, replied Mr. Phillips. Ebenezer slowly leaned over the desk to Mike Phillips, beads of sweat running down his face. Are you telling me, Ebenezer asked slowly, that you won't print the story? I'm telling you that I can't, replied Mr. Phillips in a nervous, croaky voice. Well, if you won't help me get rid of these people, I'll have to do it myself, said Ebenezer Crim. He gave Mike Phillips a long, evil stare. before turning and walking out of the office. As Ebenezer left, Mr. Phillips sat down on a chair and gave a loud sigh. He hoped that this was the last he would ever hear from Ebenezer Crumb. "Good luck, Mr. Price," Ebenezer whispered. "Good luck, Mr. Price. You're going to need it." And we'll pick up on chapter 6 next time. I hope you enjoyed that. Remember to read more.